when Jinx and Vi and Caitlyn reunite, one of the first things she says is, "No matter what I do, I just can't seem to die." That's haunting me because it's just reinforcing the mental state that Jinx is in at this point, and we see it demonstrated before this that she has lost her will to live. Like she's just not. She has no motivation. She has no purpose. Like after everything that's happened, like she's gone through her whole character arc in season 1, and instead of being like this, like arrival at this peak, she's actually in the depths, and she's just completely checked out. And she's and you can tell by some of the other things she says, like when she's like disappointed at the end, that she was actually hoping to lose in this scene, when this conflict with Vi. The other thing she says, like right when Vi has her like, and not exactly chokehold, but she's like, she's on top of her, and she says, "I'm ready," and she's like completely relaxed. She says, "I'm ready. I'm glad it's you. It had to be you."
Yes.
Again, horrible. And I kept like that kept like running in my head over and over again after I watched it. I just kept like thinking about that moment. Yeah, because it's just very tragic. Because that shows I'm expecting that's about to change, right? Like obviously we can't have Jinx being in this kind of a
it does mute her a little,
right? Because she doesn't have like as a character, it makes her passive.
Right.
So I'm expecting that's about to change, but yeah. So there was that. Another thing was Vi to her, because this is when she says this, it's a pretty big shift for her. She says, "I'm done." I watched it, so I get the wording correctly. She says, "I'm done blaming myself for your mistakes. Done pretending you're my sister. You're not. You killed her. I'm not going to let you stain her memory anymore." So that's how she's able to justify fighting her, because she's like, "This isn't my sister. It's like this is the person that killed her." And so yeah, so that's like an example of like kind of what I was talking about before, of like some of the mental shifts that she's going through in order to be able to justify that. I still wanted to see a little bit more of that, but but also this, I think specifically it was her saying, "I'm done blaming you myself for your mistakes," because earlier in, I think it was episode 1, when she's like getting drunk, she talks about how she mentions like she was the one that created the monster. So she clearly is feeling a lot of guilt, and she is blaming herself for who Jinx is and who she's become.
Well, Jinx had told her that she was the one who created her.
Yeah, Jinx was like, "It's you, it's your fault," which objectively is partially true, right? Partially true. But of course, Jinx is still responsible for her actions as well. Yes, if I made a mistake which caused a ripple effect, a chain of reactions that led to Powder becoming Jinx. Okay, but that still doesn't justify anything that Jinx is doing. And so there's both of those perspectives are true in their own way, right? Like yes, Vi has some legitimate guilt for what she's done, because she did, her behavior was wrong. But at the same time, she's not responsible for who Jinx is, if that makes sense, right? So I thought that was a really impactful and important moment. But also just like, it was heartbreaking for her to say, "Done pretending you're my sister," right? Like that's like another step of, not only is it not your fault, not only is this not my fault, but
I wash my hands of you.
Yeah, I'm not even thinking of you as family anymore. Like that's like the ultimate. We're ultimately torn apart as much as we can be.
But then she steps in and saves her.
Right. She doesn't let Kate kill her.
Well, it's because of the little kid. It's because of the kid.
Oh, that's true. That's right. There was a little kid there, and she was thinking about that.
Yeah.
That's right. She was, "What if you missed?"
Yeah, which is an important moment for them too later, because she's like,
right. That's right.
Yeah.
But Kate was like, "I wasn't going to miss."
And she's like, "What's wrong with you? Like, how could you?" For her, it's like, how could you even risk that? Like that's unacceptable, unspeakable. Like there was a child. Like end of story. But Kate is so dead set on her revenge that she's like, "No, I'm willing to even risk."
Well, but she's also a professional. She's not just like winging it with the rifle. She is a professional.
Right. It wasn't like Kate said, "What of it? I would have shot again."
Right.
No, Kate's response was, "I wasn't going to miss." And I think from the storytelling perspective, you would set up the situation that she wasn't going to miss, that she's that good of a shot.
Yeah, you're right. She wasn't like, hey, you got to break some eggs, in war.
Yeah, well, whatever. I could have shot him, and then I would have shot again. Like whatever. Like that wasn't Kate's response. Kate, I had complete confidence in that scene that Kate would have made the shot.
Yes, I do too. But I guess Vi didn't.
But Vi didn't. But Vi had already. But from the storytelling perspective, Vi had already told her, if you have the shot, then you take it. And then Vi was the one who stepped in and stopped her.
Mm-hmm.
Right. The story is set up as though Kate would have made the shot, but technically, no matter what Kate said, you're right. Kate did say something that reflected, I care. I just would have pulled it off. But technically, that's still speculation. We don't really know.
It doesn't matter how. I'm with Vi here. It doesn't matter how skilled you are. That's not a risk you take. Like, there could be elements of chaos around you that you're not expecting. Like, you think you're going to make it unless yes, your skill. But
it's not just speculation.
There are other things that could happen, and so, yes.
Yeah, but on the other hand, I mean, Vi knows what happens the last time the shot wasn't taken. And it was a lot more than one child got killed.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's true.
We're replaying that whole sequence. I mean, we're replaying that sequence, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think the way it's set up is that Vi did intervene, right? I mean, isn't that the vibe that she intervened? Maybe there's multiple reasons, but at least on some level, the kid was an excuse to intervene, at least, if not the only reason.
Like, is the kid an excuse? This is a fantastic question. The kid,
yeah, I mean, potentially.
It says the kid is 100% Ms. Izek. Ms. Izek. I'm sorry if I'm.
So he's saying what Brianna's saying, and I think there's a total case there that she was acting purely to save the kid, with no other motives really at all. I mean, that's essentially
for sure. It's multiple. I mean, she's acting out of instinct in the moment, and I think even she might consciously think it's just because of the kid. But no, do we believe that that's completely her reasons? No.
Okay, because that's where I'm at. I'm at like 60-40 maybe.
Do we need this kid in the story?
What do you mean, do we need this kid in the story? We don't know yet, Heath.
Okay.
Yeah, early on.
We have no idea yet. That is not an answer we can possibly question.
The kid.
Question we can possibly
The homeless guy in episode 1, the rat gangster. Like, there's several characters I'm just not interested in. And made worse in some cases by I think poor dialogue. I don't get the same vibrance and presence out of these characters that I felt from even side characters in like minor side characters in season 1. Like the underworld rat guy, what's his name? Do you guys know his name?
I don't even know what the rat guy's name is.
He's like I don't know, he's like a caricature of a gangster. Like he comes in and he's like, why do people, he's talking to his like accountant. He's like, how come people like you always work for people like me? You think you're so smart, but you don't have the guts. Like, I don't know. I feel like that's like cartoon. This is animated. I get that. But I feel like that dialogue is like Sunday morning or Saturday morning cartoon level villain talk. Can you imagine talking like telling the reason these people have accountants is because they're that important to their business affairs. So, or in this time, criminal enterprise. So I don't know. I thought like it was a weird introduction to that character talking down to his guy, like in a way of like, isn't it amazing that I'm the mastermind and you're so smart, but you work for me? I'm like that's like what they're bothering to talk about. I don't know. It seemed like it just seemed like some goofy dialogue to me. And there was
I mean, I think it's a kind of. I felt like it was supposed to be goofy. It was kind of like he was a little bit of a comedic villain there, lightening the mood a little bit, I guess.
Yeah, but I even put in my notes that it was a tone clash. They went from like overly slow paced and sad to like slapstick silly almost with this new character. So it seemed even that I thought was a little off.
Drudenfuss has a great point that I hadn't thought about. Okay. Kate could not guarantee that she would not miss with all the hex tech malfunctions.
Right, it's a speculation. I do agree with that.
Yeah.
Oh, right here. I got it.
Yeah,
I got
yeah.
it right here.
I
Kate
think
cannot
that's a
guarantee she
good
would
point.
not necessarily hex tech malfunctions.
Mhm. I had one other one, of course, was, and this is going to the depths of what this whole show seems to be about, which is where I didn't write down the exact wording, but when Vi says to Caitlin something like, everybody in my life changes, please don't change. She's asking her to not change. She says she won't, and of course she is like one of the people that's changing the most.
The most.
Yeah, and the way that and which I think that is that moment, that conflict between them is just emphasizing that, right? And that's why that's so painful. Yeah, that was painful. I did like their kiss. I thought it was just a side note, because while we're on the topic, I thought it was very cute and sweet. I was thinking about like the way they animated it. It kind of felt like a hug. It was a kiss that felt like a hug, and it really just fit their personalities and like their relationship really well.
You know what detail stood out to me in a positive way? The sound effect it made. I know it sounds like it was like kind of loud, but not like obnoxious. It just sounded like such an authentic kiss, like in your mind, like when you kiss somebody, that's the exact. So I don't know, in a weird way, I like the sound effect of it. It just sounded so real. I know it's such a minor thing, but I thought that worked really well.
Yes, shout out to whoever made that sound effect. Whoever did that Foley. We want to know, what were you kissing when you made that?
Yeah.
Well, Brianna, we have the discussion, and we clipped that as a separate video. Is Arcane homophobic? And so we had that discussion that's clipped.
From season 1.
Yeah, from season 1. We were talking about season 1, and you had the opinions there. Somebody I noticed in the comments wrote that aged like milk, and I have no idea what they were talking about. But is there any type of adjustment in thought that, because I was not aware, but maybe is there some kind of adjustment in thought we should be aware of after this?
No.
Yeah, I know.
We concluded it wasn't, so I don't really know what there's.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah, I don't think it is. I feel like
I mean, the way we worded it that way just to be a little clickbaity, and because it was just it's YouTube, it was a topic people were discussing. But my note is that because we had a kiss early in season 2, which is a pleasant surprise, because it's very common with sapphic media that they wait, and then there's a kiss, and that's the end of the show, and it's like, cool, fuck you. Like, that's how I feel. Like, oh, like people just afraid to like share relationships between two women. And so the fact that we have a kiss early in season 2, and the fact that we got a little bit of some foreshadowing, I think, like a not foreshadowing, but a setup in a comment that Jinx made, where Jinx is like, I know whatever that taunting thing is. She says something about like, I know you're really sweet on her. I hope you got the chance to, before. Like, I think we're gonna have more than a kiss later. I think that's implied. That's my prediction based on those two things. So I think we're getting in that direction. But
yeah, and I think they're doing just fine. The way the show has gone, especially early on here, where they're getting ready to invade. There's not a lot of intimate moments, so I feel like they picked the right one.
Yeah, there wasn't a chance for that. It didn't make sense. It would have been rushed and forced. Like,
yeah, you could also
right moment.
Yeah, agreed. You could shoehorn it into where it feels like it's not supposed to. I felt like that was fine. It was the right intimate moment. I felt like it felt natural, to me.
Yeah, for sure.